Deep within the rugged wilderness of the American West lies a place of unbridled adventure and untamed wonder. It's a land of bubbling hot springs and steaming geysers, towering mountains and sweeping vistas, and a power that lies deep within the earth itself. This is the home of the Yellowstone supervolcano, a geological marvel that's been simmering for centuries, waiting to erupt and unleash its fury upon the world. For those who dare to explore its terrain and witness the raw power firsthand, Yellowstone offers an unforgettable journey into the heart of Earth. Yellowstone caldera. Don't worry, we're not... Yellowstone caldera. Don't worry, we are here to inform you about everything. Caldera is a large, bowl-shaped volcanic crater more than 1 kilometer in diameter and rimmed by interfacing scarps, usually formed by the collapse of the top of a volcanic cone or group of cones because of the removal of the support, formerly furnished by an underlying body of magma, which is molten rock. So Yellowstone caldera is a huge crater that was created by a catastrophic volcanic eruption about 640,000 years ago. It is located in the western central region of Yellowstone National Park in northwest Wyoming, and it covers a sizable portion of the park, being around 30 by 45 miles or 50 by 70 kilometers in size. Interesting, right? No worries, we have more history to tell you about. History of Yellowstone's supervolcano. There has historically been a great deal of volcanic activity in the region surrounding Yellowstone National Park. There were 3 enormous eruptions between 2.1 million and 640,000 years ago. The Yellowstone caldera was created by the most recent eruption. Since then, the park has witnessed over 80 eruptions, the majority of which were not explosive. Some of these incidents resembled the Pinatubo eruption in the Philippines in 1991 in terms of scale. The most recent of these minor occurrences took place 70,000 years ago on the Pitchstone Plateau, which is situated in the Beckler and Fall River drainages. When the volcanoes do erupt, it is a catastrophic occurrence. The 3 eruptions that created calderas between 2.1 million and 640,000 years ago are thought to have been 6,700,000 and 2,500 times more powerful than the Mount St. Helens explosion in Washington state in 1980. The Grand Canyon would have been filled with ash and lava as a result of the eruptions combined. Those who live 200 miles or less from Yellowstone would have been covered with ash up to the mid-calf. There would still have been a few inches of the volcanic material on those who lived farther away on the continent. There was likely a notable global temperature drop as a result of the impacts, which were felt all around the world due to wind-borne sulfur aerosol and incredibly light ash particles. In addition to these terrible events, he really has some of his beauties to offer you. Notable features of the Yellowstone supervolcano. Yellowstone Lake, whose northern part is situated in the caldera's southeast region, is one of its major features. The west thumb is a knob-like protrusion on the western shore of the lake that was created by a relatively minor eruption in the caldera around 150,000 years ago. The western dome, which is beneath many of the park's most well-known hydrothermal phenomena, is one of 2 resurgent magma domes that have been built in the caldera. Now comes the answer you all have been waiting for. What will happen if there's an eruption? We know for sure that those who live nearby will not be among the living, so this is an answer to those who live a little further away from this supervolcano. What would happen if a supervolcano eruption occurred again at Yellowstone? The impacts of another big caldera-forming eruption in Yellowstone would be felt all over the world. Regional repercussions of such a large eruption would include falling ash and short-term, decades to years, changes to the climate, Pyroclastic flows would harm Yellowstone's immediate surroundings in the states of Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, while falling ash would have an impact farther in the United States. The amount of ash would decrease with distance from the eruption site. Withdrawal of partly molten rock, or magma, from below causes the ground surface to collapse during such eruptions, creating calderas. The question is not if it will happen, but when it will happen in the future. Today? Tomorrow? After lunch? Will Yellowstone supervolcano erupt in the future? How prepared are we for a potential future volcanic eruption? A better question is whether the eruption will occur soon. Do the scientists agree with our fears about the impending eruption? The United States Geological Survey's scientists disagree. They estimate that throughout the last 16.5 million years, there have been 15 to 20 significant eruptions near the Yellowstone hotspot. Large eruptions only happen once every 600,000 to 800,000 years, according to evidence collected over the last 2.1 million years. The current risk level of an eruption at the supervolcano is low. While the supervolcano remains active, the likelihood of an eruption in the near future is minimal. However, the observatory maintains a constant watch over the supervolcano and monitors any signs of change in activity. It is essential to continue monitoring the supervolcano and take necessary measures to ensure public safety. I don't know about you, but I was glad to hear that last one. It should especially please the people who live nearby, but you never know. All that remains for us is to find out what kind of eruptions will happen to our future generations, because according to the estimates of scientists, as we have heard, there won't be any soon. And then we will watch them from a safe place, that is, from heaven. What type of eruption will occur if Yellowstone erupts again? The volcanic and hydrothermal history of Yellowstone points to the possibility of future eruptions of diverse types. The frequency of historical eruptions may be used to estimate the chance of a specific kind of eruption happening in the future. Hydrothermal eruptions are more common than volcanic ones to occur. Instead of molten rock, this kind of small-scale, explosive eruption might come from shallow reserves of steam or hot water. The well-known geysers, hot springs, and fumaroles of Yellowstone all originate from these reservoirs. Such explosions might create shallow craters that are more than a kilometer wide, as has happened in the western Yellowstone National Park, north of Old Faithful, and the northern Yellowstone Lake Basin, including Mary Bay and the surrounding Turbid Lake and Indian Pond. Throughout the previous few thousand years, steam bursts created each of these craters. Rhyolitic lava eruptions might possibly involve explosive stages that could create substantial amounts of volcanic ash and pumice. Lava flows, made of either rhyolite or basalt, would be the most likely kind of eruption at Yellowstone. These eruptions might be considerably greater than the 1991 Mount Pinatubo explosion, or much less than the 1980 Mount St. Helens eruption. Another massive caldera-forming eruption like those that took place 2.1 million, 1.3 million, and 640,000 years ago would be the least likely but worst-case scenario for a volcanic eruption at Yellowstone. After all this information, we can come to a conclusion on this topic. The Yellowstone supervolcano continues to be an amazing and intriguing natural wonder with significant geological value. Although an eruption may have serious implications, there are very few possibilities that it will happen anytime soon. Yellowstone's supervolcano's beauty and complexity serve as a reminder of the amazing forces that form our world and the significance of conserving and researching these treasures. While most of us don't worry about supervolcanoes, a sudden eruption of Yellowstone could have catastrophic consequences on a global scale. We need to know that a Yellowstone sits atop a massive magma reservoir that is filled with viscous lava and gas. If this reservoir were to erupt, the eruption would be unparalleled to anything we've ever seen. To prepare for this potential event, scientists have been studying the volcano for over a decade and developing new technologies for monitoring and predicting its activity. However, there is still a lot unknown about how the eruption would occur and what its consequences would be. In this video, we uncovered some incredible facts about Yellowstone's supervolcano, and the truth is quite terrifying. But after learning about the terrifying truth of Yellowstone's supervolcano, you may be feeling a little bit uneasy. But don't worry, it's not all bad news. Sure, a massive eruption could cause widespread devastation and have global implications. But on the bright side, it would make for a great excuse to skip work or school for a few days. Just make sure to pack your emergency kit and stock up on snacks before you hit the road. If you had fun with this video and learned something new, hit that like and subscribe button. Stay safe out there, folks.